So with points, the distributor has pretty much on this distributor, it's 6 cylinders, so it has 6 ridges on it, and then at the ridges, at the high point, the lobes or whatever you want to call it, it opens the contact point right here so that no spark is going through to the spark plugs. Now at the flat spot right here, this is where the points close and you're getting spark to the spark plug. And so to adjust these, first we need to get it crank the rotate the crankshaft to get this to the highest point. If you're doing this as part of a spark plug and tune-up things, then it's better to rotate the engine, or rotate the crank with the spark plugs removed. That way there's no combustion pressure, make it harder to rotate the crankshaft. Now as for tools, there's a variety of spark plug tools. You shouldn't use them. This one right here doesn't even go small enough. The specs are 19 thousandths for the distance between the contact points at the furthest spot. So this one won't even work. This one goes down to 20 thousandths. It's still too high, and even if you tried that, you can see that it'll actually wind up being over 20 thousandths because it's a ramp here that increases, and you won't be able to get the very top edge at 20 thousandths because the point's just too big, just a little bit too big. So this is out, unless you're going to get it way too high. So that leaves a feeler gauge like this. This is right at 19 thousandths. And I don't know if I mentioned it already, but I already have it at the highest point right there. If you loosen this screw up too much, then it'll move this will move too much and too easily. It'll be really hard to get a precise adjustment when you let go. So that's why I just go a little bit, just enough to make it move, and that's actually make it smaller, so I need to make it bigger, so by going that way. There's stories about guys, old guys, they used to use matchboxes and stuff for doing this, and for guys who did this all their lives, yeah, I could see that could work for them if they're in a jam. But I haven't done this all my life, and most people nowadays have not done this all their lives. So it's better to do a good job, get to specs the right way first, and then once you're good at it, then to start taking shortcuts and make sure they still work. Don't just start off with shortcuts right off the bat. That's just a bad idea. That should be good. I want to get as close to as possible to specs, where it's not tight enough where it's actually pushing the point lever out, because that's too tight, because it's actually going to be the if you're pushing the lever out, then that means you have it too tight, and it's actually much smaller than what you're going for. And then once you tighten it, verify that it hasn't changed, because tightening it can actually make it move a little bit. And that's too loose. I have the adjusting screw here adjusted tight enough where I cannot move this by hand. I have to use a screwdriver in here to move it by hand, to adjust it. And this is just right at the spot where if I approach at the right angle I could get this in, and it barely jiggles at all. And so that looks like it's about right. And it should be 19 thousandths, but below 20 thousandths. And that's where the specs are. Now I'll have to, since I've changed the point gap, I might have to go back and verify actually I do have to verify the timing. You always adjust check the timing after adjusting the points. Now with a Chevy small block, there's a little flap that in the distributor cap that you can lift up, and once you get the points close enough, you lift up the flap while the engine's running and warmed up, and use a little hex key to adjust it, use a dwell meter to get precise. Usually I think it's around 30 degrees or something. I don't remember exactly, so check that. Or what I used to do was, since it was hard to find a dwell meter for a long time for me, I used a vacuum gauge. I would get close enough and I would use a vacuum gauge to get more precise while it was running, and then I want to adjust the timing and with the timing light, and I kept it advanced a little bit, and then I adjust the fuel mixture with the vacuum gauge also. So that's adjusting the points on a 250 straight 6, and it has to be precisely done on a 250 because you cannot adjust it while it's running. There's no flap for that.